Hi, this is Yaffi Lvova, registered dietitian nutritionist and owner of Baby Bloom Nutrition. Welcome to Naptime Nutrition. Today I have with me the fabulous Loren North of Through the Closet Door and lorennorth.com. And she's a personal stylist and with a big an advocate of sustainability. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Thank you, Yaffi. So happy to be here this afternoon. So what I do when I work with my clients is really work to bring what's on the inside to the outside so that their style is not dictated to them by any sort of like trend or magazine. It's really honoring who they are, but also helping them use what they already own. So restyling the wardrobes they have, creating new outfits from that, and then shopping secondhand. So not only is this great from a sustainability perspective, it's good for the planet, but it's good for our budgets, and it's even better for our style. So
Right.
let's get into that.
Right, because you can afford more. And so today we're going to be focusing on fashion. I was going to say nutrition. We're going to focus on fashion and style through pregnancy and breastfeeding. And so why are we talking about clothes when this is a nutrition segment? It's because it all comes back to self-confidence. And if you feel like you're leaving the house a mess, then you're not really going to have that impetus to put any effort into other areas of taking care of yourself. After you have a baby, you're expected to really have your entire life around that child, and we totally lose our identity. And so fashion and style is a really big way to regain your identity. And it can be very difficult in this time because your body is changing. It's changing from day to day. And that's not only during pregnancy, that's immediately after as well. And whether you're breastfeeding or not, there are just changes in your body that happen. And you don't want to go out and drop a lottery ticket. Well, that wouldn't be worth much anyway, right? You don't want to go drop a whole paycheck every time you feel like your clothes don't fit you that well. So we're going to talk about how you can use some items in your closet throughout pregnancy and immediately after. And also some things that you might want to consider purchasing, or we'll talk about alterations. Mm-hmm. So let's just get into it. We divided this up into three main segments: pregnancy, breastfeeding, post-baby, and then a little bit down the line as well. So let's just start off with pregnancy.
Let's talk about it.
All right. So my first experience with pregnancy, I had two of them in there. So it's a little bit different. But the interesting thing is that as you get bigger, it's not the same as someone who just is gaining 10, 15 pounds. It's a very specific shape, and that shape is different for different people, and it's different for different pregnancies too. So it's a little bit difficult to accommodate that changing shape when you don't know exactly what's going on, and your shirts start to roll up even before you can really tell anything, and your pants just don't fit right, or things are pinching. So where should we start, Loren?
So I think that based on what you just said, and we've talked about this before, it's just the importance of understanding your body and your measurements. And this is something that is not talked about, really outside the stylist community. A lot of times when it comes to our shapes, be it, when we're not pregnant, and then when we are, it's all about a shape. Like maybe when we've looked at things online or magazines, it's like somehow you're a fruit or a geometric shape. And that is just baloney. And what really helps and sets us free in so many ways is actually knowing our numbers, be it when we're pregnant or not. Because when we know our numbers, and I'll elaborate what those are, we can then use them as a tool when we're shopping. So that, like you were saying, it's such a great point, was that when you were pregnant, you were first pregnant with twins. So that was one type of shape and body change. And then you were pregnant again, and that was completely different. But what if you had it in your mind when you took a quiz that they were like, you're a petite pear, or who knows what it would be, right? Something made up and arbitrary, and you kind of walk around with that. And so measurements of ourselves, and in particular for women, the basic measurements I always take are around the bust, the waist, the hips, and our inseam. Now, our inseam theoretically is not going to change when we're pregnant, but nonetheless, it helps to know. Those measurements can be compared to clothing, and really it becomes about you as a person and not about the number on the clothing, the size, or this perceived thing that we need to fit into. It's all about us, and I think that's so important And including, you could do this when you are shopping for maternity clothes, when you do need more accommodation for the growing baby, is again, maternity clothes are going to have sizes, is knowing your measurements to compare to those, the dimensions of the actual clothing. And of course, the other thing too is, we talked about this extensively because I think it fits in really nicely with this conversation, is the budget part, right? Is when those changes start happening, when the clothes start rolling up or the pants don't fit, is you could be looking at some new clothes and thinking, well, I need to save for this baby and all the other upcoming stuff that's now coming into my life. That is why shopping secondhand is just so fabulous, because of the affordability factor. And as I like to say, you can afford to make mistakes. You can buy some stuff. It's not like you can maybe just find something for $5.99 and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I got this great deal. It's more like, oh, okay, good. I only spent $6 on that. Okay, on to the next. So there's kind of a two benefits from that perspective.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about measurements, you're talking about comparing your measurements to an item of clothing and disregarding the size that's on it, because often those sizes, especially shopping secondhand, they're from different time periods. Those sizes have changed drastically. If they're from different countries, they'll have different sizes. And our measurements are not for comparing with our friends or comparing with, Cindy Crawford or whoever is in vogue now. That was like, oh my God, I'm dating myself. But
we're showing our ages right now.
Yeah, so those measurements are really just to find clothes that will fit and will bring out the best in you. So okay, so that's good. So you start with measurements and you measure the clothes when they're on the hanger. And
so if you were going to take, for example, the measurement of your bust, so taking a flexible measuring tape around your bust, you would get a number. So for example, let's say you got 38 inches. And you were going to measure a shirt, you would measure roughly under the arms, and you would be looking for things that are half that. So 19 inches, right? Because 19 times 2 is 38. And so your measurements on the clothing are flat, so bust, waist, and hip. So you just multiply by 2 to compare to your measurements, which you're taking around your body. This is an art, not a science. I like to say that to people when I teach them how to do this. Have some tolerance. Do not worry if it's like, oh, well, that might be a 38.5 underarm and I'm a 38. I better put it back on the rack. No, give yourself some freedom. It all depends on the style of the clothing as well. And it's a practice. I mean, I know you have a lot to do when you're pregnant, but if you are open to kind of putting away fitting room frustrations forever, pregnancy and post-pregnancy, measurements are what's going to do it, because you're not going to have to worry like, oh, am I a 10, a 12, or a 14? Well, let me take all 3 pairs of those pants in and hope for the best. No, the measurements right away are going to help you screen which ones are the best contenders to take in the fitting room. And quite frankly, the time savings cannot be overstated. And I think then once you have children and you have to shop on your own, you will then have this trick moving forward to then make it even more efficient when you're shopping on your own.
That's always a good thing, streamlining the process. You get the same benefit with less time involved.
Exactly.
Okay. And so it's even more important to mind your budget when you're shopping for maternity clothes, because often people do this in 2 rounds. What's going to fit you the first half of the pregnancy is not necessarily going to fit you at the end of the pregnancy. And so you have the 2 rounds. And if you go to Motherhood Maternity right off the bat and buy their full price, $80 gorgeous dress, oftentimes more than that, it's gorgeous for the first half of your pregnancy. And then all of a sudden it's real tight.
Yeah, so I use 2 online consignment stores with my clients. So for those of you listening in Phoenix, there's just an abundance of consignment stores in general. They may not be specifically geared toward maternity, but some of them will have that. You can also always call ahead. But if you want to do it online, ThreadUp is a online consignment store, so just available to anywhere where you're at in the country or the world. And they have a specific maternity section. And it's ThreadUp, ThreadUp, so no A. Poshmark, the online app that connects people like buyers to sellers, is basically like you follow someone's closet. So let's say there's been a mom, she's done with having children, she has all these beautiful maternity clothes. She may sell them online on Poshmark, so that then you as the buyer could even follow her or follow her closet. That's kind of the concept, is you find someone who has a style that aligns with yours, and then you can see what she's putting up for sale. So they also offer maternity clothes. And then of course there's the other one, the motherhoodcloset.com, that is specifically focused on maternity clothes excuse me, let me back up. Consignment maternity clothes. So it's just for maternity, but it's still secondhand.
That's great. I'll post all of those links when we're done with our chat.
Excellent.
So look those up.
Because I think that's going to be the most budget-friendly way to accommodate the 2 stages during pregnancy, like you said, at the beginning and then towards the end, because you're going to be changing, obviously, throughout that time period. But you may find one particular dress new or one particular garment new that you really love. And of course, that works. Like the key thing to any sort of style and clothing shopping or finding things that you love to wear them. So there's fundamentally like nothing wrong with buying things new that you're going to be able to wear a lot. It's just, we don't want you to feel like that you're boxed into this corner and thinking, oh my gosh, the only option is I have to spend, $2,500 on maternity clothes twice. Like, so you don't. So it's being discriminate about those pieces too. You may find new brands, certain brands really work for you. You may find new pants that fit you excellent, but the dresses are a struggle. So maybe go and branch out and look consignment so you can kind of make those affordable mistakes, because truly that is how we learn when it comes to style. So.
Right. And often we have a fairly bare bones wardrobe when it comes to maternity wear, just because you're buying all these new pieces. By far, most of the pieces from your wardrobe before don't fit while you're pregnant. So you go out and buy these new pieces, but even so, you don't have that much. You might have, a few shirts and a couple dresses and a pair of slacks or skirts. And it really gets boring. You have 1 week rotation of clothes and you wear the same thing. And I don't know about you. I'm not even so into fashion and style, and I was getting real bored. So got to shake it up.
Yeah. And I have a theory on this that I've been exploring with my female clients. And that is that the uniform approach, a la like Steve Jobs, does not work for women because it's not feminine enough for us. So we have feminine energy. We need to express that. And it's not so that we need to be fashion plates or follow the latest issue of Vogue, but we need to express ourselves a little more so that all black and jeans or, whatever the uniform may be cannot feel very fulfilling or authentic to us. And so to your point about mixing it up is my approach to uniforms when people do need to incorporate that as part of their style is to use color. It does not mean wearing all black every day, day in and day out, because black goes with black, because I do feel that that is what's going to get bored and tiresome and not honor who we are as women. So thinking about colors that you have preferences for, that you enjoy. I mean, it's hard to tell. I'm wearing pink, gray, and black. These are some of my favorite colors. But thinking about those, and I can actually share you a little photo, Yaffi, to put with this video of my color wheel that I share with clients, is using color theory. So some people may have forgotten about that from art class, but I create this color wheel that I share because I want people to think about colors. I'm going to use red and green as an example. They're very popular at the end of the year for holidays. I'm not suggesting you wear red and green in their pure hues and look like a, walking Christmas advertisement, but thinking about them and how lovely they are. Thinking about, for example, cranberry and sage green, or fuchsia and hunter green, or fuchsia and jade. Those colors are opposite each other on the color wheel. They're complementary, and that's why they work. There's also the concept of colors next to each other on the color wheel, or adjacent colors. So thinking about red, that would be orange and purple. And so if you have a real favorite color and your only options that you think are just, I can only wear black with this and it's going to get really boring, thinking about ways that you can pull in color to make it interesting. And it doesn't need to be a whole new wardrobe. It can be pieces of jewelry. It can be scarves. It can be handbags. It can be shoes. It can be jackets. So you can mix it up. Even if it's that same base capsule wardrobe, perhaps you have a different scarf that you could incorporate every week. Pull out a different one. Scarves are also really cheap secondhand, I might add.
So, and they have no sizes.
And they have no sizes, exactly. So
I love the accessory idea, because it doesn't matter how big your belly is. It doesn't matter if you're if you need to go buy a new bra during nursing. A necklace is a necklace, a scarf is a scarf, and it's going to make your outfit pop a little bit more.
Exactly. And I think that's so important to stay true to who we are as women and not get stuck in that that drudgery or that boredom of I only have the same 10 things to wear and there's nothing I can do to change it up. So there's
right. You brought up the feminine energy, but I know it's difficult to tell with all of my colors now, but sometimes I don't really want to participate in that feminine energy. I want something a little bit more, structured, a little bit maybe more masculine. And a lot of the maternity clothes out there are frilly and pink and the empire cut, and it's so girly, and that's just not me. Most of with my tinkly earrings. Well, half the time that's not me. I like to be able to wear something that's not really that girly sometimes. So any tips on that?
Yeah, so I would say to definitely, and it's so funny you bring that up because I've worked with a few clients recently who are super colorful and pattern oriented in some aspects, but they also love wearing all neutrals. And they've said this to me, how do we resolve this and so forth? So I say honor all of those preferences, because this really, when we're talking about this and what I mentioned at the beginning, this is about bringing you to the outside. So if you have the preferences for exactly for a like neutral palette or structured silhouettes or tailored silhouettes, well, one thing you could do is find the clothing that you want and buy it too big and take it to be altered. And you could certainly do this for an entire wardrobe during maternity, but don't feel overwhelmed if that's not your thing. But maybe you want 1 to 3 outfits, like as you described, that are that neutral tailored palette that aren't like bright yellow with, green flowers or whatever. That's what I would do. I would buy clothes that they don't even need to be necessarily maternity, and I would take them to a seamstress and I would get them taken in, or however they need to be taken in to fit, hemmed, whatever it may be, so that you can still honor that if you can't find it maternity, if you can't find it on maternity clothing specifically, because just about anything can be tailored. I mean, the cheapest, easiest fixes are hems, of course. But taking in at the waist is not a very expensive alteration. Taking in at the sleeves on a jacket, it's hard to tell because this is all black. Taking in at the sleeves is one of the more expensive alterations. So when you're buying jackets, I do recommend that you find them to hit at the proper length on your arm. And then obviously buying pants that are really too big all the way around your legs, those also can be quite expensive. But taking in at the waist and things like that, again, it all goes back to that price per wear. If you find something you love and you want to wear it a lot, you're going to maybe wear it every week as part of your professional or just personal time during your pregnancy, you're going to get a lot of wears out of that garment. So make it work, invest in it. Yep. So that was one suggestion.
Okay, I think that was a lot of great information. So moving into our next section, the immediate post-baby period, and we're going to lump in breastfeeding with this, whether or not that's something that you're doing. So right during pregnancy, you have this big belly, but it has structure. It's got a baby in it, and well, a bunch of other stuff that I've gone into on other nap time nutritions, but there's some structure with that. And once the baby comes out, you still have some pouch there, but it's kind of mushy, and it doesn't help contribute to an outfit. It's not like the pregnancy where you dress the belly, or before the pregnancy where it was any kind of actual shape. This is like a shapeless mass in the middle of your body for some amount of time. So your pre-pregnancy clothes, even if they fit, kind of pinch and they don't fit right. And your pregnancy clothes are hanging and they don't look nice at all. They're not working with your figure at all. So what do we do during this time?
Yeah, so this is where, it's really time to get rid of the enemies in the closet, if you will. With all your friends in there. You've just had a baby. You're super, busy attending to the baby. You're probably not getting a lot of sleep. Your whole routine has, of course, changed due to the arrival of the baby. So we don't want your closet to be a place where you go in and you look at like 50% or more of what you own and think, I can't wear that. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of it. It just means taking that time as you have it to try these things on, and the ones that you can no longer fit into, but maybe are someday clothes, or the ones that are too big that you never want to see again, I want you to put them aside so that you're not getting that negative kind of reaction when you look in your closet of just seeing things that you can't wear. Then if there's anything that you try on that you think, going back to alterations, that you think you may want to wear, I would take that to someone for the seamstress, again, to continue to get wear out of the garment. If it was flattering and can be made to fit now, again, going back to waists, right? If this was a garment that fit you when you were pregnant, maybe the early stages, and now it's, maybe just a little bigger on you, but could still be taken in. And alterations usually work within 1 to 2 sizes of whatever your size is, just as a rule of thumb. You don't really want to go up to like 4 sizes or down 4 sizes. It just won't work. So if you have something that's maybe like within 1 to 2 sizes of where you're at, get that altered, because you don't have to shop. You don't have to think about something else. You like it. Then the next thing is going to be having another honest conversation with yourself. I'm not saying this is fun, but this goes back to it being our body and our numbers and not arbitrary sizes and shapes. Looking at your body post-pregnancy and looking at the parts of you that haven't changed. That's your frame and your bone structure. And instead of thinking about minimizing, thinking about accentuating. What are the areas of your body that you can draw attention to and accentuate, so that you're less distracted by maybe the other areas that you're less than confident about, or that you're not even sure how to dress. But because when you dress to flatter and draw attention to other areas, I always point to my shoulders. I have really broad shoulders and I dress for that. I don't minimize my shoulders, I accentuate them. What are those areas? It could be your legs. You could have really long legs. That won't have changed, post-pregnancy. How do we elongate you? How do we make you look even taller? Most women, I've yet to find a client that wants to look shorter than she is. She may not want to accentuate her height, but most of us like to look tall. And looking tall helps us look lean. And again, it's these visual tricks. It's not this masking, this concealing, this hiding. It's how do we accentuate what we have and really maximize everything. But looking at our bodies honestly and looking at the frame, which is a whole other way of thinking about things. I know this isn't stylist books. This is not like out there in the mainstream. Really, really helps. And then also making that list. So we talked about getting kind of the enemies out of the closet. What do we need for this phase? What did we enjoy wearing during pregnancy? Trying on clothes would be really crucial because of the comfort factor. We talked about pinching and gathering around the middle section, how it can be quite uncomfortable. Not to mention mobility for breastfeeding. Having some time to really think about what's going to work from a functionality perspective and comfort perspective. So give yourself that time. And then once you kind of find that pattern and that routine, start buying those clothes, perhaps in multiples. Something I normally don't advocate for from a style perspective, but will be very helpful during this phase, so that okay, well, this type of button-down shirt really works for me, or I love these kinds of patterns. What are those things? Just keeping a little list really helps.
Right, because you want, as you said, you don't want to walk into your closet and see you don't want to see a mess, and you don't want to see a bunch of clothes you won't fit into either. No. The truth is I'm participating in a decluttering challenge, and I'm like way behind, but one of the things was to empty out the underwear drawer. And I'm very neutral about my body. I feel like I've gotten rid of a lot of those hang-ups from my 20s, and it was amazing to me how much better my day was when I just opened my underwear drawer and everything in it fits and it doesn't pinch. And I can just know that I'm not going to have to scavenge every morning for the underwear that fits right. And that's the same concept for the closet, that you can walk into your closet and see only clothes that work for you. Because why do you want to walk into a closet full of goal clothes? You don't want to start your day like that. And how many times a day do you walk into your closet? It might be once, but it might be more than that. And every time you walk in, you see those goal clothes. And what those goal clothes shout to you is, I don't fit you anymore. You're not where you want to be. You're not who you used to be. Who wants to start their day like that? So I love what you said about taking those and just putting them away. We're talking about pregnancy and immediate post-pregnancy. Some of those clothes might fit again. So maybe if there's sentimental value, you don't want to get rid of them, but you also don't want to walk into your closet on a consistent basis and see clothes that are not doing anything for you and you're not doing anything for them. There's no relationship with this item of clothing anymore. So it either goes in the sentimental box or it goes to a consignment for someone else to love.
Exactly. And it doesn't need to be a painful process. I always have I have a big reusable shopping bag that I keep in my closet, and things go there temporarily. And it could be for days, it could be for months. And sometimes I fish things back out because I'm going to use them again. I realize, what, I do want to use this, whatever it was, again. So if there's a lot of change going on, do not feel like, oh, well, now I got to clean out my closet too. No, just put them away and deal with them another time. They will be waiting for you. But it really helps with the mindset, like you said, of going into the closet multiple times per day and just not having that reminder.
Right. And if your wedding dress doesn't fit anymore, that's obviously something sentimental. You can hang on to that, but you also don't need to see that every time you walk into your closet, you know. So we'll get rid of the gold clothing. And as far as dressing for breastfeeding, it's different for everyone. It's different based on style. It's different based on personal modesty. I'm a big breastfeeding advocate, but I also like to be very modest myself. And I don't like anyone to see really what's going on. Sometimes I use the covers, but I feel like I've gotten kind of used to, I've gotten good at breastfeeding without using the cover, so my child isn't eating under a blanket in 118-degree weather. But that's for me personally. And a lot of other people are a little bit more free with their bodies, and they don't have an issue showing a little more, but that's all going to have an impact on how you dress. And we were talking about a common way to dress for breastfeeding is the double layer, where you have the camisole with a shirt on top of it, and you get a kind of peekaboo effect where the shirt comes up and the camisole comes down. And that's great for most of the year here in Arizona, but who wants to intentionally put layers on in July? I don't know. So there have to be other ways.
Yeah. And to your point about the peekaboo effect, because I'm kind of exploring this in my own wardrobe, just from a dealing in the heat perspective, is, for example, the camisole I'm wearing today, I'll move the camera down a little bit, the pink one, this is 100% silk, and I got this secondhand at the 70% off sale at my sister's closet. So I think I spent $10 on it. But this is silk, and it's layered over another camisole with the jacket. So this is 3 layers, and it's August, and I'm wearing this. So this is my personal preference, is to find natural fabrics. Now, if you live in a hot climate, this is probably for you. If you don't, this may be more work than you want to embark on. But natural breathable fabrics layer very nicely because they're so comfortable. So natural fabrics are going to be silk, cotton, linen, and wool. So we'll leave wool out of the conversation for now. The key thing is that you're going to think, I have to dry clean and iron silk and linen. No, you don't. You can hang them up outside on a hanger, spray them with water, and the wrinkles will release. You can spot clean them. You can actually wash silk in a washing machine on a delicate cycle. I'm not recommending you do that with the aforementioned wedding dress or any specialty garment, but I have washed numerous silk tank tops and camisoles in cold water on gentle. I mean, we have to treat it like what it is. It is a fragile fabric, but it's not so fragile that it can never be worn and it has to sit in the closet in the back. But breathable fabrics, like I said, silk and linen, I can't talk about enough from a comfort perspective in hot climates. I also have a linen wrap. I'm not wearing it today. This is like a velveteen jacket. I have a linen wrap that I wear in the summer to protect my arms from the sun. I love that wrap like so much. It would be amazing if I was breastfeeding just because of the wrap style. It actually does button on the sides. But I want people to think about that just if you're layering, be mindful of the fabrics you're looking for. Many, many things are polyester and polyester blends, and that's like wearing a plastic bag. But if you are open to shopping secondhand, and it is easier to find these things affordably and just to find them in general, natural fabrics secondhand, I have a lot of success. I just read tags. It doesn't take me a lot of time, but it's something I'm very mindful of, and it's the comfort level cannot be overstated. But in addition, the other thing is if you are looking for like less layering, it could be as simple as like having a blouse that you're comfortable with another jacket. Especially if you have to do this like professionally, there's like, I always say there's like the way to layer is like under, like I'm doing it both ways today. I have a camisole, and then I have a jacket, but you can maybe pick 2, go with a cami layering or a jacket camisole layering. Now, again, you're still going to need maybe something to cover you up on the front side, just depending on your modesty, comfort level. But I don't want people to think like they're destined to like only one type of layering and being really hot in synthetic fabrics, because there are options for that. And of course, button-down blouses. Again, you may be thinking, oh, I've seen button-down blouses in cotton or linen. I have to iron them and do all these things. No, you don't. Do not worry about that. There's amazing things can happen with natural fibers when you just spray some water on them and let them hang up to release their wrinkles. They will be at least more pulled together and comfortable than perhaps a polyester outfit.
That's good to know. I refuse to iron anything.
Yeah, most people do.
I just don't iron. I don't iron. I've got 3 kids at home. I'm not going to iron something. That's
Yeah.
all right. Yeah. Okay. So those are some really common ways to dress for breastfeeding without buying breastfeeding clothes. And those are really convenient, the breastfeeding clothes you can buy, but they're also really expensive. And this is for a temporary amount of time. So during breastfeeding, you really can wear back to normal sizes, and just it depends on your modesty and your weather and what you need from the outfit as far as how you dress for that. So I think that's great. Um, so here's my big rant about the moms in yoga clothes. Okay, so it's not my thing to wear yoga pants, but here's how I see it. It's not that these women have given up on themselves. It's that they've given up on expecting their wardrobe to multitask the way they're expected to. When a woman who has just had a baby or maybe has 3 kids at home goes into her closet in the morning, she has to think about what's the weather, what are the activities, what can I wear that covers me the way however I want to be covered, but I can get down on the floor and play with the kid. What is going to hide stains? What is clean? What isn't going to show the cat hair? Whatever it is, there are so many things that our clothes need to do for us. And it's overwhelming. And so you walk into your closet and you look at your clothes and default to the yoga pants and t-shirt. And it's not because you've given up on yourself. It's because you've given up on your clothes being able to do everything you need them to. And the fact that you need to run downstairs to take care of something because, well, there's always something. So that's my rant. That's what's up with the moms with the yoga pants and the messy bun and what have you. It's really not a statement on who they are. It's just that dressing can be so overwhelming when you've got so much going on.
Exactly. And my advice to that outside of the clothing part is I have my I think I've got it down to less than 5 minutes. I'll call it my 2-minute routine. And this is when I have to leave the house. But I don't wear yoga clothes outside the house either. But I need to look pulled together and I need to do it really quickly. So for me, that is always a bright lip, mascara. I fill in my eyebrows a little bit, so I have to do that. If you're someone who has the techniques, whatever it's called, microblading, I don't even know what it's called, but whatever it is for you for brows. And I always put a hat on. I have not a baseball hat, but just a hat. I can't even think of the word for it right now. And and a bold earring. And so it really doesn't matter what else I'm wearing. In the wintertime, that may be legitimately one of my nicer coats over leggings. No joke. I'm still wearing the leggings, but it looks a lot better because I have a really long coat on. But that routine saves me because it doesn't really matter what else I'm wearing at that point because I have put on for me what is the bare minimum for me to leave the house. And inevitably, I will get the most ridiculous compliments on that hat, the hat that I can't describe because I got it as a gift from someone who'd gotten it from Target. She just gave it to me because she wasn't wearing it. And it's okay, so I have this one statement piece. So thinking about your, what are my, what's really important to me when I leave the house as far as, is it the clothing? Is it makeup? Is it my hair? Do I want my hair to look really pulled together? I don't. I have more bad hair days than good days. So for me, it's pulling it back, put a hat on, right? Distract them with a bold earring, distract them with the bold lip. So thinking about that, is helpful. It doesn't have to be the entire outfit. And I think that's what gets so overwhelming. It's the what are the little pieces that you could kind of do every day in under 2 minutes or every other day, whenever it is that you're leaving the house. I would also like to point out this is where those scarves come back into play. If you are a scarf person, sometimes it's nice to just have one in your handbag if you are out and about and you're oh, maybe I'm going to meet my, friends for a play date or something, or you run into someone. It's just nice to have things in your bag if you think of it. You can just put a little scarf on or a necklace. I do this for my professional clients. I mean, whether they have children or not, they require a lot of their clothes just from work because they may be doing various things at work or they're on their feet and then they're meeting with clients and it's have a change of shoes in your bag or keep it at the office or have a change of accessories or a smaller handbag. So it depends on your lifestyle. And that's really, really, really what it comes down to is there's no one size fits all. There's no this is right and that's wrong. It's what works for you that makes you feel really great about yourself. That's super simple and easy. There's a lot of tips for that.
And so the reason why the moms will default to the yoga pants is because they match with everything and they're flexible. And so what we were talking about that I'm going to show a picture of now is the Beta brand. This is a dress yoga pant, and it's a yoga pant, and you can see she's kind of doing yoga in it, but it looks professional. So you get that feel, you get the lack of pinching, but it's quick to grab and it goes with everything. They also have a skirt, so it's kind of knee length with little shorts underneath and a hidden pocket. And so that didn't get great reviews as far as larger sizes. They go up to about a size 12, which starts getting X's and XLs, which is not common. That's when we were talking about the different sizing and how companies size things different ways. And so if you're in a larger body, you might want to consider a different brand other than the Beta brand. And so that's why I'm going to show you this one. And this pant is the same thing. It's a dressy yoga pant, and it's called the what is it, Kelsey something or other. Sorry. I'm going to put up a link. I'm going to put up a link for that. Kelsey Pant knit trousers. And that is something that that has gotten some really good reviews as far as larger bodies, because we want to dress for what our bodies are, and we want to look nice. We don't need to have clothes in our closet that don't work for us. So those are some things. I'm going to put up some of those links so you can check that out. And those are getting really popular. So there are a lot of knockoff brands as well you can try out.
Yeah. Excellent. I'm glad you shared those.
Yeah, well, they seem, we have to be comfortable. That's the big thing. The whole point of this is to talk about being comfortable and confident at the same time, because they're not mutually exclusive. You can be comfortable and still feel like you look nice, or at least presentable. We can do that. Our clothes can multitask. We just have to have the right items in the closet and know how to put them together.
Yes.
And that's where Loren comes in. Because I'm not one with that advice. I'm pretty neutral when it comes to style. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Loren. Did you have any last pointers that our viewers might want to hear?
I just always like to advise people to, before you go shopping or feel like you're just going to like throw away everything in your closet because you're so frustrated, hit the pause button, take some time for yourself, figure out what the style is you want to portray. When I work with my clients, they create a Pinterest board to just show their kind of ideal style. Get inspired. It's not an hours-long exercise, but just taking a few minutes, maybe even over a week, giving yourself permission to indulge in that, and then going to the closet and looking at it with a new set of eyes, because usually what you have is in your closet. And if you don't have it due to various, sizing changes due to pregnancy or post-pregnancy, you will be much more focused on what you're looking for. When you go to the stores, you will be less overwhelmed. So knowing yourself, getting inspired, and just taking that short time, whatever that is, that checkout, that hit that pause button, so it's way more effective and you're way less frustrated.
Amazing. And if you're in the Phoenix area, you should join a shopping excursion with Loren. I was fortunate enough to join one, and it was really fun, just an afternoon with the ladies, and Loren is there to give some guidance as far as what looks good and maybe what should go back on the shelf for someone else to love. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to put up a link to your site as well. And if anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. Next week for Naptime Nutrition, we are still going a little tangential. I'm having Dr. Jeff Hester on. He's an astrophysicist, and we're going to talk about Mercury in retrograde. What does it mean, and how does it impact your life? So come join me next week. It's going to be a good time, and I will see you then. Naptime Nutrition, 1 p.m. Arizona, which is currently 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. West Coast time. So see you next week. You won't want to miss it.
Thanks, Yaffi.